Y'all ready to be history?
Get started.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite.
These guys are professional. They're motivated.
Thanks to TriBooth, the best vocal booth for home or on-the-road voice recording. And Austrian Audio, making passion heard. Introducing Robert Marshall from Source Elements and Someone Audio Post, Chicago. Darren Robbo Robertson from Voodoo Radio Imaging, Sydney. Tech to the VO Stars, George the Tech Whittam from LA. And me, Andrew Peters, voiceover talent and home studio guy.
Line up, learner!
Here we go.
And welcome to another Pro Audio Suite. Thanks to TriBooth. Don't forget the code TRIPAP200. That will get you $200 off your purchase. Austrian Audio, making passion heard. And of course, Centrance and the Pro Audio Suite with the new Passport VO. And a bit of an update. I know Michael's been in contact with you, George. How's it looking, do you think?
Well, I mean, I know that the parts are becoming available to make this thing. He said the last report I had from Michael from Centrance was that he's had to redesign numerous products that were, fully in full production, like things that were in the catalog, things that were shipping, people were buying the last couple of years. They had to go back and redesign because components just stopped being produced that they used, And that's just this unpredictable side of building these products in very small numbers. When you buy a Focusrite Scarlett, it's going to be a batch of probably 10,000, and then they'll run another 10,000, and they're buying these components in massive quantities. With a small company like Centrance, they don't have that buying power. They can't keep in stockpile thousands of components. So it's a little bit more of a just-in-time kind of, way of making things. So when they aren't available, when you want to ship, what do? Well, you look for a substitute component and you redesign and you go back and make another one and make sure that the new one works the way it's supposed to work. So it's quite challenging, and it's still challenging with the current state of supplies of parts. So, we're kind of in line a little bit behind some current product that has to get shipped. But the good news is that, he's on top of it. He's communicating, and, timing-wise, we might be a few months behind where we would hope to have been. So I won't make any promises. Maybe by the end of the year we ship. I mean, we want to see a working prototype long before the end of the year, obviously. Yeah. That's an important thing. So, like I said, he's doing his best and he's communicating and let us know what's going on. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, he's cancelled his vacation as well in August.
Well, yeah, I mean, he did say that. He said, my family's going on vacation, but I'm not because I got a lot of catching up to do. And I'm like, oh, dude. Well, the life of the entrepreneur. I mean, I know how you feel.
Kudos to him for that,
indeed,
at least.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of things that are a bit cutting edge, you sent us a link, George, to a new microphone that is so freaking bizarre. It's called the Konos. I'm not sure what the model number is, but...
Just go to KONOS and you'll find it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you go to konos-sound.com. And this thing is really weird. And the thing that jumped out immediately was the connector. It has a box, and the connector looks like it's an Ethernet connection between the microphone and the box.
It is.
It is.
That's
Is it analog or digital?
Oh, I'm sure it's digital.
Yeah, it's got to be digital. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still waiting for the webpage to load. My computer.
It has 80 capsules inside. Mm-hmm. I think it's the only product they make.
Looks like it, doesn't it?
It has 80 elements.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to let this load up here.
Yeah, you need to talk to your neighbour, Robert, and get them to step up with their Wi-Fi because it's just ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's right.
Tell them to get a better package. But yeah, it's a weird thing, and it's got like the box that it connects to. It's got 3 XLRs out by the looks. It's got the Ethernet, which is where the mic connects to the box. And then it looks like it's got a US. Is that a USB?
That's a USB-C. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's got a power
must be a power switch in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it looks to me like you can switch between 3 modes. One is they call it, think of this as your hypercardioid. So that's got a narrow beam of 60 degrees, then a mid beam of 100 degrees, which is a wider pattern, obviously, which is typical of your normal cardioid, it says, and then wide beam 180 degrees in front, which is kind of interesting. So yeah.
And they call it variable cone technology.
Yeah. Looks really clever. It's
You know all about that, Robert.
Something Robert knows has been across for a long time now, I would have thought. But so yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's they're sort of saying, get rid of noise is the main use for it, obviously, with those three patterns. For me, looking at it, it would be more of a location mic than a studio mic.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a location mic. Another claim is their sharp off-axis rejection and significantly reduced side and rear lobes keeps your pickup tight through a wide range of frequencies over long distances and with impressive noise handling tolerance. Record great natural sounding audio every time. So anybody knows hypercardioid mics, they are very directional at the front, but they're also they pick up quite a bit in the back. They have a node or a lobe in the back, right? And because of this thing's crazy DSP technology that combines these 80 capsules, it's able to kind of use cancellation to cancel out what's being picked up from the back. So, yeah, it does some crazy. It's kind of like most of our modern Bluetooth headphones and phones have at least 3 microphones because some of those mics are used for noise canceling. So I think it's taking that idea and then turning it into this far more sophisticated 80 capsule array. Why it needs 80 capsules? Who the hell knows?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know why it needs that many. And it also has built into the system a noise reduction element, which I'm also finding fascinating. I was hypothesizing that it needs to have noise reduction internally because small capsules are noisy inherently. They're just not as clean as larger capsules. So if you multiply that by 80, well, you're going to get some noise, like self-noise. So they would have to use that noise reduction to control the self-noise of the mic, right? That's my thought.
And I'm guessing the Ethernet cable is so you can get longer distance from the mic to the box. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine you can run almost as literally as far from the mic as you can run on Ethernet. So
this basically claims to have a cardioid with no back lobe.
right.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the cardioid definitely has those back lobes, those side lobes, but the hypercardioid has no back lobe. I mean, according to their pattern.
According to the pattern. Yeah,
That's
narrow
interesting.
beam mode, mid beam mode.
Have you ever seen those microphones that are just like an array of like 16 or 32 microphones in a circle? And then they record people, and then you sit down and they say, who would you like to listen to? And this thing can focus in on wherever you want after the fact. It just records all the microphones, and then it has this amazing ability to focus, basically same thing, based on adding and subtracting the different capsules together in different ways.
Yeah, right.
And
There's array microphones. Exactly. This just takes that to another level of complexity.
yeah, this one's along a stick instead of in a sphere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Looking at the top, those 3 XLRs that Andrew mentioned earlier, it seems like are they outputs that you can record each of the modes at the same time? Is that what that looks like to you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
One
what it
is
looks like.
the
Yeah.
target channel, which is the one that's technically the one you're wanting to actually record. One is the or the ambient channel, and one is the subtraction of the two, or the
It looks like the hypercardioid.
Well, one is the Pac-Man dude who's in the middle of eating a dot, and the other one is the Pac-Man dude who's like he's gonna open his mouth for a new dot.
yeah, you're right. It is kind of look like a little
And then
Pac-Man
the
guy.
last one is he got killed and he's in the middle of like folding backwards.
Yeah,
but he's
so
just
Yeah, that's right.
but it looks to me like you can record all 3 of those, right? So you can sort of switch between them, a bit like the similar to the 818 where you can change patterns and stuff
Exactly.
in post.
Yeah.
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 That's right.
But do you need to run 3 XLR cables out and then into something else? Is that how it works?
I would think so.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know if you need to use all 3. I think you can just use the one that you actually need,
Yeah. It says here, audio output, front complement and Konos select.
Right. So most people would probably use Konos select if you're on a set, right? Well, it depends on your goals, right? A lot of these production mixers have 8+ channels of recording nowadays, right? Or tracks.
I mean, it could be
Sometimes
like
12.
a lens. You might be like, if the scene opens up and you have to move your mic up higher, you might be able to like widen out your pattern.
Yeah.
And then when the scene gets intimate, you're close, you can focus in. I mean, it might be a thing where it's almost like a director with his lens focusing and racking the focus.
Definitely.
You can kind of do that.
And what's not clear is that switch, whether that's a 3-position switch or if it smoothly transitions from very wide to very narrow.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not obvious either from the picture.
Because it looks like you click from one to the other.
But what is the switch output? Because it says it has 3 outputs. Does that switch output to the USB or something? Because that's clearly, the XLRs are separate. It has 3 outputs.
Well, one of the outputs is always the front. One of them is always the complement. And one of them is the selection setting, like whatever you set the knob to.
I see.
So they call that Konos Select. But the USB is simply its power supply. Just don't let that throw you off. It's just
so this is just a traditional mic that happens to be remoted with an Ethernet cable instead of your
kind of traditional, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's an analog signal between the two. I doubt it, but I don't know. I'm assuming it's a digital.
How much is this sucker?
5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for a location mic.
Nah, this is like $700. This is like $700-800, I bet.
No. It's $5,000.
No, it's 5,000.
It is
5,000. Yeah.
Yes.
Holy
Yeah, no,
moly.
it needs to be a game changer and exceptionally good.
Yeah.
To spend that kind of money. Like
$5,000 for a USB mic? No.
No, it's not USB.
I know.
There's a testimonial here, which is kind of impressive, though, from a guy called Matthew Hasselblad, Burbank Sound Studio. Not that he's impressive, but if what he's saying is true, it's impressive. It's saying, now that I've used the Konos, I don't know if I could go back to a normal boom. Super impressed with the new boom mic. We got crisp dialogue from 20 feet away.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And there's a photo of them standing out sort of in the middle of like a desert-looking scenario. So there's obviously going to be wind and whatever else going on in the background. Plus there's cameras and everything else rolling that the boom mic is actually sitting over the top of. So,
well, you have to have a hell of a good boom op.
Yeah.
I mean, because the aim is going to be challenging.
Absolutely.
Now.
That's right. Yeah. If you narrow the field that much, you got to be spot on where the noise is coming from. Absolutely.
Damn straight.
Otherwise you're way off axis. Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, I used to do very briefly, I did parabolic mic operating on sidelines for football. You guys call it football. We call it. No, actually, we all call it football. Not the other football,
but actual football.
NFL, yeah. And you had to look straight down the barrel of the mic. It had literally a tube in the center. That was like what you used to aim, and you had to aim it that accurately. Like some guys would hold it over their head to get a, try to get it over the heads of who's in front of them. But chances are you were off target. You would just
need
be
the little
aiming
mirror set up, like in the submarine, so you can see
a periscope.
Yeah, so you can see where you're pointing it. My daughter and I were at the museum just this weekend, and there's the whispering wall, which is this room where it's like you're like 50 feet away from the other person. You can just whisper in their ear, and it just bounces right over there.
I love those. Some of those are naturally occurring, which is always fun.
Yep.
There's the place where my brother and my dad and my mom all actually work. It's called Longwood Gardens, and they have one of those too. It's a bench,
a big
this
curved wall.
Bench. Yeah, if you sit at one end, the other person hears you. I love that stuff. Yeah, it's fun. But yeah, I mean, aiming is going to be challenging. I boom opt for a while, and it was, I would get occasionally in my headset from the mixer, like, you're off mic or he's off mic. Can you
focus in better? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because accuracy is key when you're doing exteriors. Yeah. So
it's funny. Like, why aren't the parabolic mics used more on set? Like, they don't sound as good. Have you? What's your
Fidelity.
experience? they just don't sound like they sound kind of phasey because of the nature of all the bounces going into that one focal spot.
Yeah, they sound weird, and the fidelity's not. They can't capture, and they don't give you directionality that much at the lower frequencies, and fidelity I think is the main reason. It's a good question. I've literally never seen a parabolic used anywhere else other than.
I'm making a new trend, and it's going to be parabolic mics in whisper rooms. We're going to introduce a big reflective surface that's going to just like focus your energy, and it's going to sound great.
You just stick it on the wall.
We were just using basically a lavalier mic. It was attached to the end of the tube, and you had to adjust the focal point to get it right. The focal point. It has to be an omni mic because the signal's coming in from it on all sides, right? Mm-hmm. And
If you think about it, the reflection filter should be a parabolic thing too, so that they filter out that spot in the middle is actually specifically like nothing can get there.
That would be wild. The actor couldn't move much, that's for sure.
That's definitely
It's really
true.
funny talking about lapel mics and stuff. I was doing an interview in London back in the mid 80s. Oh, 86, I think it was. And
Your retirement
we had to do this
interview? Which one was that?
What's that?
Oh,
Which
never
retirement?
So
Yeah,
we
gonna
were
get you
going to
now.
do this thing. We were walking along the Thames doing this interview, and we were using a radio mic attached to the beta cam. And
By the way, a radio mic is a wireless mic in the U.S.
right, wireless
Back
mic.
in the day. Yeah, they call it Mercani or Merconi. What did you guys used to call it?
So,
Or a Marconi mic.
it was right, okay. Mary had a little lamb. That was all I had to say. But anyway, that was another job. But so we had this issue because we only had the one radio mic to use, and but it was raining. So I ran the cable of the mic from the transmitter on my back pocket up the sleeve of my coat and attached it to the umbrella and held the umbrella between the two of us.
Oh,
that's
look
how
at
we
you,
did it.
hey. Look at you.
And I've shown this to people. I've shown the footage, and it's like, where's the mic? And you see people looking, going, where is the mic? They can't work out where the mic is.
That's
Because you
great.
can't see it. It was really close.
You missed your calling, AP. You
I did.
You and
You
Chris
could have been
McCallum
production
could have been
sound
like
guy.
this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, this mic claims 50 hertz to 20K. So, yeah, it definitely can go pretty low. It's still,
This mic has dual output. I mean, the anti is like literally like a figure eight, like a perfect figure eight. You can get full separation out of out of left and right. This is a stereo mic.
kind of, yeah. It doesn't claim to have a stereo output mode, though, interestingly.
But look at the wide beam 180 capture full
Yeah.
180. That's almost like your two capsules on the 818 mode.
And another nitpicky thing, the polar patterns we're looking at are at 4,000 hertz. So we have no idea what these polar patterns are at speech,
Right.
which is like 100 to 1,000, So
My biggest thing when I look at stuff like this is I come up with ways to use it. And Robert, go with me here and tell me what you think. But if you used one of these on set and you indeed could have all the recordings from all the different settings in your Pro Tools session, imagine like a shot where there's two guys talking on a street corner, and then the camera pans back to open out to the street because there's a car arriving or something like that. Imagine being able to pull the sound back with it, so you have this completely focused on the two guys.
That's what I was talking about.
Two guys,
Where
yeah,
where
yeah,
you
and
get
then pull the whole thing back.
Director of photography.
That would be so
The director
cool.
of photography can control the zoom and the rack and the focus.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
That would be so cool.
It doesn't look like it has a smooth knob for that, but you could maybe do that through just crossfading in Pro Tools on those three outputs.
Well, yeah, it'd be easier to do it in post. That's right. Because you could get it spot on.
You could go. You could. It's interesting though. Is like you've got this like stereo thing, but then when you put it into, it's like it's not really stereo. It's more like front and back, but it does have a stereo aspect to it.
I mean, it'd be hideously expensive to have one of these to play around with, but You can imagine using this if you were using your road case.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd be happy to review it for them.
Yes, I'm sure you would.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I see it got the NAB at NAB. It won Product of the Year this year.
Yeah, pretty cool.
NAB,
That's no joke.
so,
Yeah.
Product of the year that no one can afford.
Well, it's not, you wouldn't really want it. You wouldn't really have any use for it in a studio situation anyway. But location gear, that's all costs a fortune anyway.
The budgets on location kits are
massive.
astronomical.
Yeah,
man. Those guys are
absolutely.
carrying around 100K
Yeah.
plus packages.
You'd think about how much is a Shep's, shotgun mic that you use on
Oh,
location?
$3,000 probably.
Yeah,
$3,000.
you're paying $3,000 for that. So really,
Yeah. I'd love to. I'm with Robert though. I'd love to have a play with it just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do like an Australian sound effects collection because although there are some out there, there's so many things missing when you actually live here and you want to reach for a sound effects collection just to put stuff in the background.
oh, all you have to do.
Can I do my imitation of an Australian sound effects collection?
Go on.
Go on then.
Here's the black recluse spider. It's here's the Wanatabi whistle snail.
Yeah. He's the eastern brown snake. Yeah. He's the great white shark. He's the box jellyfish.
Wanatabi whistle snail. That's the name of our new album.
We have 5,000 sound effects. It took 3,000 audio engineers to get this library put together.
Because all the rest died.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of which, I went for a walk yesterday. I just walked down the end of the street and I bumped into one of our neighbours and they said, "Oh, there's a killer whale out there." I went, "Really?"
What? Off your
So we had
place?
off our place, there was a killer whale.
That's
And I was
crazy.
looking at the guys out there in bloody wetsuits doing a bit of surfing, thinking, "Mate, your game.
They're smarter than you. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're out there. Clearly.
We have had such an increase in whale or shark attacks in Long Island area, New York, that they're deploying a whole bunch of shark defense drones.
Wow.
So they're
really?
flying
Yeah.
drones over the water to look for the sharks and to tell people to get out of the water.
Right, because it's amazing that the shark's camouflage is so good that like, you need these computers to pick them out from the roof. Yeah.
It was interesting. This is a true story as well. One of my first city gigs in radio, because I was the mid-dawn guy, so I was the shit kicker basically. They used to send me up in the helicopter on weekends to do the shark patrol. And it was like fucking amazing. Like you'd sit there and you'd see the sharks. And I say to the pilot, "There's a shark down there." He goes, Yeah, he's all right. Look, you can see which direction he's going in. So when they do a sharp turn, that's when you got to worry. And there was a guy who was snorkeling off the reef down the southern beaches of Adelaide, and we saw the shark and we were just sort of flying along, and then all of a sudden the shark sort of took a rapid left turn and started heading towards this guy. So we've got the sirens going as we're doing the dive down this guy. I've never seen anyone swim so fast in my life. He was almost airborne getting out the water.
It's like the cartoons where they're like walking on water. Like,
Yeah, Billy Connolly talk about sharks in Australia.
I've heard his whole thing about, I'm surprised anyone lives past 21 in Australia.
No, it goes forever, but I'll cut it down really quickly. But he talks about swimming in I think he's talking about swimming in Adelaide. And he's before he gets in the water, someone tells him, be careful, there's sharks out there and all that sort of shit. So he's already shitting himself and he's snorkeling around, and he turns around and looks behind him and he goes, not 6 feet behind me, there's a fin.
Oh, yeah.
And he swims, and he talks about swimming so fast, and he's thrashing in the water and he's throwing kids behind him, and he's swimming so fast he swims all the way up the beach and ends up on the road. And then he goes, and I looked behind me and it was my own flipper.
Yeah, that's right. That was the whole sketch he did about Australia. Like everything is designed to kill you.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
That's what we think here anyway. Because that's all we hear about.
Box jellyfish. He's seen the sign on the beach. Stingers, beware of stingers. And he's like, what the fuck's a stinger? Does it arrive in a taxi, or what is this thing? Does it drop out the sky, arrive in a taxi, blah, blah, blah. And then it says, if you get stung by a stinger, douse the wound liberally with vinegar. And he's like, what the fuck is vinegar? What the
Yes, indeed. But it's true.
Piss will work in a pinch.
Yeah, you can piss on. You can. You can indeed. That's right.
You need that acid
Yeah,
to
that's the
neutralize
one.
that. Yeah, I heard those box jellyfish are nasty.
Yeah, you
and they're
will.
like the
They
size of
shall
your
kill you.
fingernails.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're
I
tiny.
was up in Port Douglas. Oh, this is years ago, and we stayed up on 4 Mile Beach. So it's about a couple of kilometres out along the beach to get to the township of Port Douglas. But the whole place is full of saltwater crocodiles. And we're out there swimming, and I thought about it afterwards and thinking, hang on a minute. I mean, they're out there, like they're not that far off the coast, and we're in the ocean.
Yeah. Do you know what I did once? I went to the Northern Territory because my brother was working up there. I went up for his 21st birthday, and he took me to this place. It was a freshwater pond, right? So there's no crocodiles because crocodiles are saltwater. There's freshwater crocodiles, but they won't hurt you. They'll leave you alone. Before getting in, I was like, "Oh, cool, this will be really fun." But then once you're in, your brain sort of goes, what if there's some salt water leaking in here or something? All of a sudden your brain's just going crazy, and you get out and you just breathe this big sigh of relief, like, whew, made it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. We digress, though.
Yeah.
You could record.
Are we still recording?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, you could record a crocodile with the new Konos microphone, really, couldn't you? There you go.
Yeah. Or you
And along with this recording, we had the sound of bones breaking.
I know there's some celery around here somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
The Pro Audio Suite, with thanks to TriBooth and Austrian Audio, recorded using Source Connect, edited by Andrew Peters and mixed by Voodoo Radio Imaging, with tech support from George the Tech Whittam. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website, theproaudiosuite.com.